to see you all here, especially on this miserable morning. I did not want to get out of my bed, so I genuinely really appreciate it. Second. Okay, so I want to start with asking a question that I already know the answer to. Has anyone here ever had trouble making a decision? No. Yeah. Oh, good. So what I want to talk about today is why taking too long to make decisions keeps you stuck, and why you need to make faster decisions to grow and to change, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So, I'm a decision coach. I basically just help people to make decisions. That's all that I do. I have helped people decide whether to move to a new country, whether to take a job offer, whether to get a divorce, whether to have a baby, and I've also helped people decide what color to paint their kitchen, or whether they should get a tattoo removed, or if they should rehome a dog, or once if they should neuter their dog. So, if you have trouble deciding, you are not alone. Sorry, this is not my computer. I basically help people make decisions in 1 hour. That's all I do. It's one session, one decision, 1 hour, and then you move on with your lives. And that is because I believe so strongly in the idea that making fast decisions is what makes your life better, like immensely better, and this is entirely necessary for growth. Taking too long to make decisions is bad. I did think about sort of just ending the presentation there, but anyway. I coached somebody once who had been debating breaking up with his girlfriend for 6 years. And last month I talked to a couple who had been trying to decide between living in Vienna and living in Stockholm for 3 years. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not think these people were making better decisions after 6 years or 3 years than they would if they took maybe half that time. I have found over the many years I've been doing this that taking too long to make a decision makes the decision harder, and it also makes your life worse while you're deciding. You're basically kind of stagnating, right? You're mired in sameness for weeks or months or years or occasionally decades, worst case scenario. This is the opposite of growth. And when I think about all that wasted time, honestly, it breaks my heart. So, taking too long to make decisions is bad, but making faster decisions is good. This picture is from a shopping mall in Uruguay where I used to live. Just two very similar but different shops next to each other. We want to make faster decisions because it propels us into growth and into change. When you make a fast decision, you're just limiting the amount of time you have for fear and anxiety and second guessing to creep in. Make a fast decision, you're moving forward. I have an example that might be relevant to some people here. You're thinking about starting your own business, or even just a side hustle. Let's say you want to make jewelry and sell it on Etsy, okay? So you could easily take 6 months to decide, right? To think like, am I gonna like this? Am I good at making jewelry? Are people going to buy my jewelry? Is this gonna fit in with my schedule? Or you can decide, you can start, and at the end of those 6 months, you will have real tangible data on, do you actually enjoy making jewelry all the time? And do you have fun selling it? Does anybody like it? Do they want to buy it? So you can see that the same 6 months will have gone by, and one person will have all this information on whether or not this is a viable business, and the other person, their life will be exactly the same, but they will be 6 months older. So. Okay, I want to correct a common misconception, which is that the more time you spend on a decision, the better the decision is. This is not true, and I will go to my grave saying this, and then I will probably come back as a ghost and keep saying it. It's like so important. People think that taking a long time to make a decision really improves the quality of the decision. This is not true. Now, we want to think about our decisions, of course, we want to think about them, but for way less time than you think that you need. I would actually suggest that when the next time you make a decision, you think about how long you think you need to make the decision. Let's say you're thinking about going to get another degree. You think, okay, I'll take a year to figure out whether I should go get this degree. Or you're thinking about breaking up with your boyfriend, and you think, okay, well, I'll give it 6 months and see how I feel. I would suggest that you take the amount of time you think you need and cut it in half. And I promise you, the quality of the decision will be just as good, and you will get all that time back, all that brain space, all that mental energy. I actually really think it should be 10% of the time that you think you need, but yes, people don't like that. So I kind of settled in the middle at 50, but if you're really brave, I would say 10% is probably just fine. Way more people overthink than underthink. So. Okay, change is the only way anything meaningful can happen. I was watching an episode of Star Trek Discovery when this line sort of caught my attention. I don't normally watch Star Trek for words of wisdom. I watch it because it gives me some hope that the future will be better than the present. And also, I like aliens. But this really made me think, okay? Change is how we move forward. It's how we grow. It's how we create meaning in our lives. So, like, why are we so afraid of it? I feel like people postpone making decisions because decisions mean change, and change means that things might get worse. Okay, that is true. They might get worse. They definitely might, but they might also get better. And I have found that people, when they're contemplating a change, spend so much time thinking about the worst thing that could possibly happen if they make that change, the worst case scenario, and almost no time thinking about the best case scenario. And those two things are equally likely to happen. If you were considering making a change in your life, making any kind of decision, I would suggest you ask yourself these 3 questions. Would I be considering this change if I were truly happy with what I have now? Do I see a way that this change could make my life better? And it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's definitely going to make my life better. It's obviously going to happen. There's a high percentage that this will happen. Just, do I see a way that this change could make my life better? That's all. Oh, sorry, I'm not moving these on correctly. There we go. And the third one is, if I make this change, and then I realize it's not the right thing for me, am I confident that I'm going to be okay, even if it takes a while? Okay? So those are 3 questions, and if the answer to those questions is yes, you know what you need to do. Action stations, let's make a decision, let's make a change. Okay, I'm going to give you a very specific exercise that I give to all of my clients before I do a decision-making session. This is to imagine their future lives, their ideal lives, their dream lives, in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years. Now, the truth is they hate doing this, and they complain about it a lot, and I also hate doing it. Humans are just really bad at figuring out what we want our lives to look like in the future, but I have found this to be incredibly helpful when you are trying to make a big decision. I thought I would give you some inspiration for your own exercise of things that people have said to me over the years that they want in their future. Have a dog. That's on a lot of people's lists. A lot of people have in their future lives. Have a nudist lifestyle. Do you? I finished writing my book. That's not mine, but it could be. That is something I would like to have done. Playing more pickleball. Have $20,000 in savings. Good goal. Veneers? Sure. Have a new career. Also a very popular goal for people to have in their future. More kids. Become president of France. I mean, I love this one. I love when somebody dreams big. Like, yes, like, let's become the president of France. Someone else chose kind of the opposite, which is more chillin'. Take it easy. Have decided whether or not to get a nose job. Not be afraid of planes anymore. I I think this person actually meant not be afraid of flying anymore, but I thought the idea of somebody being afraid of planes was just like really cute, so I left it in there. Can hold a whole conversation in Korean. Feeling okay with how much pot I smoke. This person did smoke a lot of pot. I must say. Have the energy to condo my house. Aspirational. Be back in therapy. Have a more varied dating and sex life. Great. Be married. Not thinking about money or how much things cost. I love this one. And finally, be a witch in the woods. Yes. So, if you need inspiration for your own exercise, you can start with these. So we want to use this particular exercise to make the decisions that help us grow. We want to get to this place, right, where we're actually living this life. So if you're feeling stuck, just try sketching, low pressure, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, what you'd like your life to look like. Now, I have an example of a client that I helped to do this. Her name was Maria, and she was calling me about a job decision she was trying to make. So her current job was pretty good, about 35 hours a week, wasn't too demanding, not too stressful. Salary was okay, it was like a little bit boring. She was calling me because she had a job offer and she wanted to know, should I take the job offer? Her job offer was about 55 to 60 hours a week. She was going to have less free time, and it would take a few months for her to sort of get up to speed. The work would be more intense, but there was going to be a promotion, there was going to be a better title, she was going to make more money, and it really was like the next step on her career ladder. So, on paper, the second one seemed to make sense. If she wanted to accelerate her career and move forward, this was a good idea. But when we went over her future Maria exercise, these were the things that she wanted to have in 5 years. She wanted to have a successful consulting business, to be self-employed. She wanted to make enough money to support her family. She wanted to be in charge of her own schedule, and she wanted to have time with her kids. So she could probably have reached this future in 5 years with either one of these choices, staying in her current job or her new job. But one of them was, I could see a straight line to what she was going to choose to where she wanted to be, right? The job that she had now, she could start building the successful consulting business like the same day. In fact, like she could actually do it at work because she really didn't have enough to do. Like I could see like, okay, if you keep your same job, you're making less money, you're a little bit bored, but if you turn your attention to building this, like I can see exactly how you get there. The second one, it was a much wavier line, you know? She was going to take her a while to get up to speed at the new job. She would have to where you want to be in the future. This is like an easy way to make a decision. And a bit of tough love here, which is something I told Maria, which is that if this is the sort of thing you want in 5 years, if one of you wants to have their own successful business, or be married with a couple kids, or own a house, I mean, not in Switzerland, but own a house somewhere, you have less time than you think you do, and you probably have to start like today. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, it's true. Okay, a few other tips for decision making. Go ahead and quit. So one reason that we get stuck and we can't move forward is that we refuse to quit things that we should have left behind a long time ago. If you don't quit, you can't do new stuff. Earlier this year, I coached a woman who was studying to be a doctor. She was going to be a gynecologist. She had done 12 full years of study. She had 1 year left, and she called me to ask, should she quit? And I said, yes. Because I know this sounded bonkers to everyone else that she talked to about it, like it was only 1 more year, she was going to be a qualified gynecologist, but she knew that she did not want to be a doctor at all anymore. She was totally disillusioned with like the healthcare system, she hated studying, she was never going to practice as a gynecologist. So what was the point of sticking with it for 1 more year of intense work, more student loans, and total stress to train for a job that she already knew she was never going to do, okay? So one of the things that holds us back from growth is doing exactly this, just sticking with something for way too long. Also, if you're allergic to the word quit, which I know a lot of people associate, they're like, no, it's grit, not quit. My friend of mine coined the word quivot, which is a combination of quitting and pivoting. So you can say that you're going to quivot to something else. That is useful. Optimize for interesting. This is an idea that I got from Dory Clark, who writes about business and careers, and she says that when you're making decisions, a lot of people optimize for, money or reputation. But she suggested you could also optimize for interesting. If you're trying to make a choice, you can go ahead and pick the most interesting thing in front of you. And I found, as I have coached people over the years, that this will rarely steer you wrong. If you're doing something interesting, you're probably doing something right. So, just an idea. Follow the excitement. This is something I tell people all the time, and when we wind up a coaching session and they're like, I'm excited to go ahead and do this, then I know I have done my job, because a big reason that people get stuck making decisions, it turns out, is that they do not want any of the choices in front of them. It took me a while to realize this, but I had a client once who he was calling me about, should he go back to school and get another degree, or should he go all in at his job and try and get a promotion? And he had been debating this for at least a year, and I realized the reason he couldn't make the choice is he didn't want to do either of those things. So we had to dig in a little bit. We had to figure out, was it the prospect of 2 more years of school that was so unpleasant to him? Maybe he wanted a job in a totally new field. Maybe he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, But when you're making your own decisions, I would highly recommend that you ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? What is it that feels exciting? And I promise you that you will be surprised how often you can just do that thing. It's allowed, and it will be a good decision. All your decisions are reversible. I would say almost all. 99% of your decisions are reversible. People get stuck making decisions because every decision feels so permanent, and when you choose something, it feels like, well, now I have to do this forever. That is not true. You might lose some time, you might lose some money, but almost all of your decisions can be changed later on. You can quit it, I promise. This should take some of the pressure off when you're trying to make a big decision. Okay, I want to go back quickly to making faster decisions for a second. Remember, this is really essential for growth, because when we make these decisions, we are saving time, we are saving energy, we are getting our brains back. We're not thinking about the decision when we're in the shower. We're not thinking about the decision when we wake up in the middle of the night. And as with that example I gave about the jewelry making, we are getting real tangible data, we will actually know. So, don't freak out. I want to show you how to make all of your decisions in 10 minutes. Now, every one of you probably has a whole bunch of different decisions in your brain right now, your cousin had a baby, what gift should you send? Or what are you going to have for dinner? Or should you open an authentic Korean barbecue restaurant in Lausanne? The answer to that one is definitely yes. So you can kickstart growth by making all of your decisions in 10 minutes. I know this is something that makes people nervous, but I promise you that it works. Write out every decision on a Post-it. One decision, one Post-it. Boom, 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 boom. Every decision that is in your brain. Small, medium. If you're being brave, it can be the big ones, like should I have a kid, or should I have another kid, or should I get married? But even just the small and medium decisions, this is great. One decision, one Post-it. Set a timer for 10 minutes. And then you go through and you make every decision in rapid succession before the timer runs out. Yes, no, 1, 2, 25, 85, doesn't matter. Now, the reason that this works is that your brain has already been making these decisions for quite a while, and there are diminishing returns on continuing to take time to make them, okay? Like I said before, the quality of the decision will be just as good. So that's it. That's all. That's the end of the exercise. And the whole idea is that clearing this space in your brain, deciding and then not deciding anymore, this is just, it's where the magic happens. Like when your brain is not spending its precious energy and brain cells trying to decide if you're going to go to CrossFit tomorrow, it can make connections, it can get creative, it can, make big decisions and come up with big ideas. We are wasting so much of our mental space on making really decisions that just do not matter. And honestly, once you get that time back, I don't even care if you use it to scroll TikTok instead of making connections and being creative. I think even scrolling TikTok, which can give you some fun and enjoyment, is better than being bogged down by making these same decisions again and again. Do we have any post-its? Are we going to do that? Doesn't happen.
We're going to do a Jenna's decision word.
It's got to look like a brain.
So this is an exercise we've thought about doing. You don't have to do it if you don't want. I hate when people tell me to do something. But if you want, we can do a 1-minute exercise where everybody makes 1 or 2 little decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would suggest just write your decision, any decision. Is maybe you're oh, maybe I should get back on the dating apps again. Or what should I eat for dinner? Or, no, okay,
So we write it down.
Write down the decision, should I do this or should I do that?
And we write the question.
Well, you write the question now, and then I'll set the time to give you 1 minute to think about it. Just write the question, write the decision you're thinking about making. Or honestly, you could do 2. It can be small decisions or medium decisions. Should I buy that shelf that I saw at the marketplace? Write the question. Write the question. Just any decision that's in your brain. It doesn't matter if it's big, small. If you do a big one, though, I want to know. What are you going to do for Christmas? Stay home and watch TV or be around family? Yeah. Should I stop learning French? It's too hard. I don't know.
Right.
Oh, I was going to set the timer to have them start making this. Oh. I was going to have everyone write the decision, set the timer for a minute, and then I should make the decision.
Okay.
But if you've already made your decisions, that's even better. That's super fast.
Have you written it down?
Okay. Once everyone has written down their decision, you're going to set the timer for 1 minute, and you make the decision. Okay? Just make it, and then you're not going to make it again. You're going to decide, and then not decide. I promise you, you're giving your future self a gift.
I think they're still writing. Okay, when you're ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, just decide. Honestly, don't overthink it. What is it you want to do? That's probably the right answer. So you're thinking of 2 different outfits you could wear to a wedding. Okay? The whole idea is that you are freeing up your brain, you're getting space and time back, you don't have to make this decision anymore. I'm not going to make you share with the group either, so it's...
Team Cop or Team Negro? That's a Swiss.
It's a real Swiss decision. Yeah. Now this is sort of on easy mode because it's just one decision and you're probably not making any huge decisions, although again, if you did, tell me. But I would really encourage you to think about doing this in your everyday life. You can just put each decision on a Post-it and then set the timer and make all your decisions, and then you never have to think about them again. You just have to execute and follow the instructions. That's it.
All right, time's up.
Okay. they have a decision. Do yourselves a favor, don't revisit that decision. That decision is made, it's in the past, just move forward. Okay, if that did not scare you off, I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have about, I guess anything, but mostly decisions.
Floor is open. Matthew.
So I wanted to ask you, for those of us raising little people, because that story you shared about the doctor spending 12 years of your life, like doing a career or studying something that maybe you're not that into, for those of us maybe who grew up in people-pleasing type of cultures as well, like, oh, you have to be this or you have to follow this path, right? And yeah, your advice for those of us trying to break that cycle and raising people to make faster decisions, but also not to waste, you know, whatever amount of years in your life doing something you don't really want to. Like, how would you pass that on to
I have no idea. That's a question for a therapist, really. Like, how
I
do
know,
I
I know,
kids
I
make
know.
faster decisions? But I do think that it is, yeah, people who are people-pleasing are also people who tend to, yeah, they make decisions for other people. They don't make decisions for themselves. And besides sketching out the future you exercise and making sure that all your choices are in line with who you want to be, I also recommend doing, again, this is like very basic, like just a list of your values, not moral values, not like corporate values. Values just like, what are the things that make me happy in my everyday life? So my list is like, not setting an alarm clock in the morning unless I have to come here, or like I'm wearing sweatpants every day, or things like that. So you just make the list of all the things that just make you happy in your day-to-day life, and then when you're making a decision, you can literally use it as a checklist. Which one of these decisions ticks more boxes on my list of values? And when you start doing it, you get faster at it, and you start making decisions that are actually in line with who you are. A lot of us make decisions based on the person that we think we might become one day, but that is truly a shortcut to unhappiness.
Nell, thank you so much for the presentation. Really cool. I cannot help but think that there's a lot of Brazilians that have a job. Like my grandma, if you call her, she'll tell you what to do with your life.
Great decision coaches.
Right.
Mine too. Decision, it's usually because either choice will be equally good or equally bad. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do something. And we really cannot predict the outcome of our decisions. So a lot of people are afraid to make decisions because they're afraid of regret. And I would love to encourage people in general, just like in your brain, to try to separate decision and outcome. Because even I cannot predict the future. When we make a decision, we are just making our best guess with the information we have at the time. That's all. We can control the decision, but the outcome often is beyond our control. Like you marry somebody and they cheat on you, or you take a job and the boss is like a real micromanager. Like there was no way to know those things ahead of time. So but people get into those situations and then they start beating themselves up. They're like, oh, I made such a bad decision, I made a mistake. Like, no, you made the best decision you could at the time with the information you had. The outcome was beyond your control. So I find this to be helpful for when we feel regret and we're sort of having like recrimination, like to remember that you can only really control the decision and the outcome is a separate thing.
Make the decision right.
Hmm?
Make the decision right.
Make the decision right.
So like you say, like instead of trying to figure out whether or not you should make a decision, just make a decision.
Oh, yes.
And then make that decision.
I mean, all the time. Like any success I have had in my life has come from making fast decisions. And it turns out that if you make faster decisions than other people, you don't need to be smarter or better than them. You can just, you can get a lot of things just by making fast decisions.
There seem to be many experts here in the room, and I have a question on moving to different places. How to take the decision on such consequent matters?
Oh, I love that because I have moved to a lot of different countries. I would say that people question it because they think it's risky to move somewhere else, right? But most people are like really, really bad, I think, at assessing risk. They look at a situation and they're like, oh no, I can't do that, that's risky. I can't move to a new country, that's a big risk. okay, well, if you're considering moving to a new country, are you that happy with the old country? You know, and if you move to a new place, or if you take a new job and it doesn't work out that well, like, okay, it happens, but a lot of times the worst case scenario for when you move somewhere new, or you try something new, is that you are unhappy. And a lot of the time you were unhappy before you made that choice, so the actual risk feels kind of low. Also, your decisions are reversible, so if you move somewhere and you don't like it, it costs time, it costs money, but you can often move back.
So what, I mean, if you take a decision, and let's say as a couple, you've got two opinions.
Yeah.
How do you
Great question. Yeah, I do actually coach couples, or like even like sometimes like co-founders or groups of people to make a decision. And I always need to make sure that they are at least like willing to compromise before I do the session, because if you have two people who have like totally different opinions, like you can't actually come to a decision. Like there isn't like that. I will often suggest that if you are trying to make a decision with somebody else and you're on opposing sides, I often try and like broker a deal. You know, like, okay, this person wants to take a year out of work and be a stay-at-home parent, and the other person wants them to keep working and make money. Like, okay, can we make a deal in which the person who's giving something up gets something that they want? Maybe it's like every Saturday off to do whatever they feel like doing, or a vacation all alone without the kids, or something like that. But I feel like there are a lot of decisions that people just, they don't want to compromise on, but if we can make a deal, give something and get something, then everyone can become okay with it. It's not perfect, but yeah.
Just a follow-up on that.
Mhm.
How about in the corporate world?
What about how to make decisions in the corporate world?
Yeah, people make decisions. Because obviously there's millions of meetings. You
Uh-huh.
get out of it like, so, where are we? There was no decision made. I'm not sure
Oh,
if
that
you
makes me.
do the training with them.
I can't get off. I'm like so obsessed with getting off the call with action items, like either for the person I'm coaching or for myself. That if I'm like I'm on a call with a friend, I'm like, okay, but what's our next steps? Yes, I think it's imperative to have action items for everything, and always like who's doing what next for sure. But corporate decision making is like a whole other thing that we could probably spend like 2 hours talking about. But honestly, I would bring a lot of it back to the same exercises that I told you about. What are our values? Where's the future we want to get to? What decision checks more boxes? That's like the most simplest form, but it works for pretty much every decision.
Or the post-it, I like that.
Or the post-its, yeah, that's exactly, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a question. So I was thinking about like once you've made a decision, it's kind of then there's if it's something like timeline, it's in your control, right? Like when do you act on that decision? Okay, it's then made immediately.
Immediately, okay. Don't give yourself time to think about it. Like the same logic for not taking too long to make a decision also applies for not taking too long to take action on the decision. This is when I get off a call with a client, like they know exactly what they're doing next, and I really expect them to start doing it right away. You know, there's just no point if you've made the decision on waiting to take action on it, because it just gives you time to start second guessing and wondering. And like I said, if you take action, then you immediately start getting tangible data that you can use to make your next decision. If you just sit on it, you're just wondering, you're continuing to wonder. So yes, immediately.
Anyone else have any other questions?
What's the title of your book?
How to decide in an hour.
Is it a
How long
book
did
in
it
an hour?
take you? Yeah, how long did it take you to come up with the title?
5 minutes.
Really cool.
Great, thank you.
Brightening the day at Unlimited Trust today. I think it's fantastic to see a crowd. It's actually very different from, as you'd see for those that want to come on a tour, what we have here, because mostly we're in the world of tech. And I was sharing with Loic, who also went to EPFL. We had this week Semaine Technique, right? So it's all of the gymnase, which is high school kids, and you know, when I didn't go to technical things, but at my time there were, I would say, a good balance in my class, but now a surprise technical school, 55 kids and only 3 young women, so I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of educating kids about technology, and that's what we're trying to do here. So we got about 80 companies. We're the former site of Bubst. If you want to know what Bubst is, you go to Loic. But it used to be a very industrial part of Lausanne. I grew up not too far away, and typically this is where you used to do all kinds of industrial activities, and now it's like a brand new neighborhood. There's actually quite a bit of creativity going on that side, but also at ECAD, I'm sure some of you know. Here we focus on what we call trust-related technology, and the reason why is because SIGPA is in the, if you want, economy of trust. It's been providing security inks for banknotes for about 100 years now. So this is why you saw a level of security which is, I hope, not too intrusive. We even have a little cute little robot coming in the back. And fast forward to today, we're one of the 8 innovation campuses of the Canton de Vaud. And what we're trying to do is really kind of grow, to come to the topic of today, grow and help mostly young entrepreneurs get their business going, right? So providing support, mentoring, obviously investment, which is always key. We're running an incubator with EPFL. We have our own innovation spaces up there because companies don't go from like 0 to being Google that fast, especially in Switzerland. So we're very involved in, it's true, no? I mean,
It's funny because it's true.
Okay, yeah, well, but you know, and I won't go into detail, but we got a couple of companies that are pretty cool, including a robotic one called AICA, A-I-C-A, where they've also been thinking a lot about design and things like this. So let me stop here. Just kind of thanks again the organizer for trusting us with welcoming you today. I hope the commute wasn't too hard. And for those of you that are interested, at the end of the talk, I'm happy to do a tour, a quick tour. We can take 15 minutes, go through, maybe talk to 1 or 2 persons. Even though when I look here, I was telling it to a few of your colleagues, I think this is the best place to do like the 4-day week, because on Friday there's just no one. So again, welcome. Really delighted to have you here. And
With Adobe, and they have been an incredible supporter of our community, so we're very thankful. And also they have some Adobe career resources for you. They're free guides and tools, and if you're an Adobe Creative Cloud member, you will get access to the Adobe portfolio, and you can actually create up to 5 websites for free, so you can show people, you know, get some practice going.